Township Board of Trustees to order at 6:02 on Thursday, January 26th. Thank you.
A little treat is coming down.
Oh, and a little treat is
Yeah.
coming down.
Because if
I
yesterday
think we'll
night,
just skip the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, since this is this is an informal workshop meeting. We will, oh wait, I forgot to take one. We will not be voting on anything or making any decisions.
They printed them out, I think. Somebody had them right here.
Yeah.
With our board packet. Yep.
So I'm going to take a roll call.
Yeah, I called Abby this morning and she said she was.
Michelle,
Present.
Laura,
Here.
Karen Sekenga,
Aye, yes.
Lonnie,
Present.
Karen Nolte,
Here.
Maris,
Here.
and myself here. Is there any item of, that anyone might have a conflict of interest on with the, in the agenda? No? Okay.
No.
First call for public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Would anyone like to second that?
seconded. Second.
Any conversation about tonight's agenda? At a special meeting, you can't add anything else, so we really have to stick to these items, so. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, cool. So the first old business is a review of the general ledger. I know there have been questions flying around. I do have a copy of the general ledger up, so if there's an area that we want to drill down on, I can do it, and everyone can see the.
Ooh, I can't see that part.
And Supervisor Ratkovich, can I say
Yes,
something?
Karen Sekenga?
So what was included in the packet and what's shown on the screen is the January 31st general ledger.
Yes.
And that is for an accounting period that isn't closed.
Correct.
And so typically, when you look at a budget variance report or you ask questions about a general ledger, or you have a discussion about the general ledger, you want to be looking at closed accounting periods, not open accounting periods. So I think the better source of information and the basis of these questions is the December, because the books are closed on December, I hope.
I can close this out and go back and just make it for those dates. I thought this, since you have the 31st, up to the 31st in your, when we get to the discussion for next year's budget portion, that'll be.
It's just that a lot of things don't get posted, so it will not be, it's not accurate, basically, so it's really not the most up-to-date. You only use the current period to look at transactions, not to look at kind of the big picture of where your budget, how your budget compares to your actual.
I can open up the, I could change the date and open up the general ledger to the end of December. So, here we go. 12/31/2022. That's what's up on the board.
Are we supposed to be able to see that?
If you look over here, it's, you see it better.
You can,
I can't see the numbers. I can't see the numbers. Maybe if it was made
I can make
bigger.
copies of this one. I mean, it's not going to be that much different than the one in the package, but.
I mean, we can go through the questions and see whether.
Yeah, we can go through the questions. This was more for, drilling down, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
my old one anyway.
So do I.
Okay, so that's, yeah.
This is what I was answering the question to anyway.
I just
initially.
wondered if your old one.
I mean, the questions were based on the December.
Yeah,
Right,
and I don't know.
that's
yeah.
the one that I was using to answer your questions.
Perfect.
But I also ran new reports to also answer some questions.
That's
yeah.
Okay.
So can I say that the questions, so I sent the questions out, everybody knows this, but since this is a public meeting, I sent out a first draft of these questions I don't know, a week and a half ago or something, and invited all the trustees to add any questions that they had to the list. I heard back from a couple people, and so this is kind of the who submitted some additional questions, and it's really, the questions were pretty duplicative, because it's really just, like I said at the last meeting, you're looking at the budget, you're looking at the actuals to date, and you're looking for a variance, which means, is it not what was expected? You know, if it's the end of the third quarter, which December is a good report for us to be looking at, because that's the end of the third quarter, so you expect 75% of the activity to be completed. If we don't see that, then on each line, we're going to have a question, and this is just a consolidation of those questions. And then Maris you and I have had a little bit of conversation subsequent, and so it starts with revenue questions, which are basically under the aegis of, so the revenue, like we talked about the last meeting, basically under the aegis of the treasurer, the expenses under the aegis of the clerk, and the budget under the aegis of the supervisor.
Okay.
Do you want me to start then?
Yeah.
Mayor.
Okay. Okay, so we had, the first question was, where are current property taxes shown in the revenue and expenditure report? This actually opened up a can of worms, but, because when we're looking at the December revenue and expenditure report, at that point in time, you wouldn't see current property taxes because we start our tax collection December 1st, so we wouldn't be making, well, we do start them in the summer, but we don't collect.
You don't have it? No, we do usually have.
But we do collect, but it's just town, or county operating and SED, so we're not collecting personal. We only
I see.
collect
And-
general fund taxes from December 1st on. So our winter is heavy.
So is our July tax collection, does it pass through the township books, or does it?
Oh, yeah, it does, but we're not receiving any money for that, so you wouldn't see it on the revenue. We get property tax, and, you know, we get the, or not property tax, but we get admin fees, yeah, but it's only SET and county operating in the summer.
And so you don't deposit that in, you don't record that in our general ledger, that goes?
Well, because we wouldn't record it because it's not revenue for the township in the summertime. It's only revenue for the township in the winter tax cycle. Does that make sense?
We can talk about it later. I'm interested in the cash flow and how it gets recorded. I mean, somehow it has to get recorded, right, that the,
Well, yeah,
collected the money in.
it does, but like I said, we're not collecting for our general fund, like for the township. We only collect for the township during the winter cycle, because in Dexter Township, we're winter-heavy taxes, and then summer is just school education tax and county operating is all we're collecting for, and that's why we actually get an admin fee for that, because we're doing a service for the state.
And whose books does that, so we bring it in, and you must record it, you do a cash receipt for it, right? And then when you disperse it, you record that it's a payout to those other entities, right?
Well, we're only giving to Washtenaw County and the state education tax to schools.
But when the property check comes in the summer, how does it get noted?
Through our tax account, but this is different.
So it's
different
a
than the
different
general ledger.
it's a different ledger account. It's a different.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not going to see it in the general ledger because it's not a revenue for us. The tax is not a revenue for us. In the wintertime it is, and you will see that. But I also noticed that, so when we set up the cash receipting and we were in the middle of changing general ledger numbers, so currently right now in the general ledger, it has our current property taxes going to 101,000, 401,001. But when we set up cash receipting with Woodhill Group, they wanted us going and putting that under general ledger number 101,000,020,030. So we're going to have to make some changes because that's different, as well as fire and police. And this report that Michelle's been giving us is not, it's not populating that general ledger number line, which is, but that's an easy fix.
Okay. But it means that right now we don't know, we don't have any report, so we just don't know.
Technically, you wouldn't have anyways in December anyway, so
So
come January or February, our next board meeting, you'll be able to see that.
And is the 229, two lines down, the 229781, the property tax admin fee, is that the revenue that's supposed to come to us in the summer?
It comes to us in the summer and the winter, and here's the thing with that as well, so I'm going to explain that, and I hope that I can do a good job of this, but right now, our current property taxes are all going under that line that I just told you about. PTAF was going to be striked, and this is another recommendation by Woodhill Group, so we were striking that as, because I mean, I know you'd asked the question also about, you also asked the question about condensing.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, Colleen's idea was to condense things. So she said that property taxes are property taxes, that admin fees would be included in that line,
Okay.
which is now going to a different line than what.
It's included in this in the query.
Correct. So, but I also went ahead and I ran a report. If you guys want to pass this down, what I highlighted is the current property, or I keep saying property, the current PTAF. So our current administration fees. So that's what we've collected so far. So they are there. We're just going to have to change these general ledger. Michelle will have to change the general ledger numbers for the reports,
Okay.
which won't be a big deal. So that's that. If you guys want to, well, it's just the highlighted where it's showing the admin fee. And the admin fees, that's a combination of both summer and winter. You can look at the separation of how much we collect in the winter too on the other two pages, and then also separate in the summertime. But that's a combination of both.
So you would expect that this, because it's as of December 31st, and it's one of two periods of tax collection elapsed, you would expect this 139 to be about half of what we're going to collect for the year?
More than half, because we have summer included in that too. And right now, for winter, we're about 60, a little over 60% collected.
Okay.
So we still have about 40 more percent of admin fees, and it's 1% of the total collected. So yes, we should be.
So you're expecting the 139 to be 60% of the 229?
What do you mean?
Where does your 139 come from?
Well, the 139 is what
139
we've
is a
collected.
combination between administration fees for summer and winter.
Okay.
And right now, we have 100% of summer done. So that what you see there is like 47,000, I believe, that we collected for admin fees in the summertime. And then winter is only, right now, that total you see is only at 60% winter taxes collected. So we sell 40 more percent of those taxes to collect and gain admin fees from,
So-
1% of.
Can I ask what the 229 number is in the budget?
Well, that would be 1% of what the property taxes we would collect.
Okay.
And that's what we project to collect, that would be 1% of what we project to collect for both summer and winter.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Right.
All right.
But so in the big picture is, you're expecting us to collect at least the amount that we budgeted, the 230?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Because we would take, because Chris, I mean, we would say, well, this is the taxable value, this is how much we project to collect in taxes, and then how we come to that number is that we take 1% of that, because that's the admin fee that we're gaining from the
Great.
total property taxes.
And you think we're also going to collect the 350 for property taxes? Yeah. Well, that's fine.
I hope so.
I mean, that's the bottom line of what we want to know.
I mean, that's the
isn't
thing,
it?
that's
Are we
kind of
on-
up to like what we, I mean, we usually, Dexter Township usually collects anywhere from 97 to 98% of our taxes, and that's really good.
Yeah.
And like I said, these are, you know, when we're doing these are projections of what we are to collect. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to hit that every single time, but it'll get, in Dexter Township, it's pretty consistent.
Yeah, and I think it goes up every year generally because
Yep.
the SEV goes up. so. And I think we based this budget number on the prior years.
Yeah.
So I would
But
expect.
with an increase
Oh,
as
you
well.
did put an increase in.
Yeah, we should. I mean, as a board, we should do that, yeah. Yep. Are we good with the admin fees?
Yep.
Okay. And then where are ARPA funds shown or to be shown? Are we doing what needs to be done to collect these monies? I did print out a different report, but I went all the way to 131, just because I wanted to show you guys the Michigan class that it's actually there. So I went in and I made the interest. I made the interest receipts, so you guys will see that. And let's see here. So I'm going to pass this out, and the ARPA funds, I believe, are shown. Here, you want a copy?
Want to just take those and I'll pass them down?
Yeah, I mean, I can throw everybody really fast.
Yay.
Get a walk. Oh, she got one, she got mine.
Yes, sir.
I'll take that back.
Karen already got one.
I'm sorry, Michelle. We're also nice. Yeah.
So if you look on the back, the last page, or no, I'm sorry, it's not the last page, it's page 11 of 12. That's your expanded view of the ARPA.
And we are 100% collected, correct? On the ARPA funds, yeah.
Yep, we got our
I
second.
remember when we, yeah.
Well, wait a second. Did you say we're 100% collected?
We've received all of our grant money, yeah. We got it in 2 installments. So we got the first one, I don't even remember when we got the first one, and then we did get the second one. That was back in the summer, I believe.
Yeah.
But you see that it's not showing up as received.
Correct.
So,
That's another issue. Like I said, I mean, there's line items, Colleen had changed where things went in under certain general ledger numbers. I can't answer those questions because there was,
so did we not hire, what was her name? Heather, to implement the new chart of accounts?
yep, and she's not done with that yet, I don't think.
Oh,
I don't know.
What she has to do, yeah, so submit that to BSNA.
So I think this is another big problem as to why the reports aren't making sense for everybody. And like, once I started digging into them and I'm trying to find my own answers, it was difficult for me to find the answers to some of these questions too, just because, you know, the general ledger numbers, chart of accounts weren't updated.
Right.
And she's hoping to have, she would hope to have the chart of accounts completed before our budget, but more or less no. So just to reiterate that too.
So when we said that general ledger was cleaned up, what was cleaned up? What was done? What's the cleanup that's been done?
You'll have to ask
Yeah,
Michelle.
Michelle. and-
Sure,
Do you want me to finish though? Like,
Yeah,
right?
Why don't we,
Because
yeah,
then-
yeah. that's
Okay.
a Good idea.
All right, so ARPA will be there. It is
So we
there.
collected it. You
The
know,
money
you've
is
seen the
there.
check.
I know it's there. There's no problems with that.
It's just pulling up
There
the
is an
right
account
report.
there, it's just not pulling up the right numbers. So, well, I mean, the right,
It wasn't.
Money numbers.
It wasn't attributed to the correct
the
account.
correct line.
Yeah.
So is it
Yes.
600 and some $1,000?
Yes,
for
ma'am,
that?
it is, yeah. All right, so the ARPA question, okay, so David and I had a conversation about the earned revenues in ZBA. I went in, into his office on Monday, and we had a conversation, so David sent me an email kind of basically explaining, here, Diane, sorry, you can pass those down, explaining revenues and why they, yeah, some of them are low, but also, him and I had a conversation about, where is it? So planning revenues. And David explains in his email why we wouldn't be receiving planning revenues. So if you guys want to just take a minute to read that and his response.
So it's basically, it's a real-world thing. It's not an accounting error. It's just, we just didn't collect as much revenue because we didn't have as many applications.
You know, and typically for every ZBA meeting that's held, for every variance, that shows as revenue, but then it gets turned around and paid right back out to the ZBA numbers for the FND. So it does come in as a revenue, but then it goes right back out, similar to the planning commission. So it does come in, but in the end, it
It's
kind of
a
wash.
Great. Thank you.
So does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Moving on, so the franchise fees, here's another one that we were condensing. And if you look on the first page, under general fund, on whatever revenue and expenditure report you guys are looking at, so we have the cable TV franchise and then AT&T Michigan Bell franchise. We were advised by Woodhill to put that all under just franchise fees, and that would be under 101,000,674,000. So all that money is going
Where
there.
is that, Maris? What
Right.
page?
On
Right
page 1 of 12, so if you go to
Okay.
the general fund, Laura, and then you go down to, these two lines, right, kind of down to the bottom here, cable TV franchise.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
And so all of that money is currently going under cable TV franchise, but that description should change just to franchise fees, because we're putting all of the franchise fees there. So we only get from 2 different companies is, actually, in that description needs to change too, because we get it from DirecTV and Charter.
So I would call that a budget error, because the revenues are getting correctly attributed according to Colleen's recommendation, but we kept the 2 separate lines in the budget. So we need to collapse those 2 lines in the proposed budget.
Which I think that she was on her way to doing that, because there were other things that needed to be done. And actually, Heather is doing that as well. We had a meeting with her on Monday, and there's a lot in the general ledger that needs to be cleaned up, a lot of inactive accounts. So, I mean, if you go in and, you're trying to do a receipt, or Michelle's trying to put something in, it's difficult because you're sifting through, old accounts that have been inactive for years and years and years, and it can get very, very confusing.
Right, but this is not that Heather can't solve this problem. This is something for the Board of Trustees to make note of for our next year's budget, that we don't want those 2 lines in the budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, and then also to change this to the description to just franchise fees. That's what I would recommend there. And then I also, just in case you wanted to see them, you want to pass these down, because I know that it's kind of confusing now that it's all going under one line item. So you guys can see how much we collected so far this year. Oh, no, Diane, that's just one.
Oh, just
thing.
one.
Yeah, just so in case anybody wants to see them. Those are the franchise fees that we're receiving from Charter and DirecTV.
What is the Telecom Act that we have $9,000, almost $10,000 in? Should that be rolled up there also?
Telecom Act. Why is that not ringing a bell to me?
So,
Can you drill
We
down
did.
on that, Diane?
Yeah.
I can
Drill
see
down
what
on
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
I would do that right now.
so just FYI, 75, so if our budget was 70,000, 75% of 70,000 is 52,500. So
We're
we're,
probably expected to see more before April,
yeah, so we're $10,000 below.
which,
Forecast.
we get like 3 different payments in a year.
Okay.
And as of right now, we only have 2. So we
Okay.
expect to receive one more franchise fee payment from each of those companies.
Okay.
Okay?
So we probably are at 2/3, and so we're still probably going to be under budget, but not as much, as bad, so maybe we want to reduce the budget for.
Yeah,
That's
for-
what, because
yeah.
this is based strictly on people streaming. It's not
Right.
based on what
Because-
they watch or anything. It's strictly based on streaming, and, no. it's not
People
based
don't
on
have
streaming.
cable TV
Yeah,
anymore.
and
So that,
so we got to start reducing our fees as people aren't using cable TV.
we got to reduce our budgeted fees. So I think we should probably only budget 65,000 for it, or 60 or something next year instead of 70.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because they're declining. But what is the Telecom Act?
What it says in here is LCSA,
Oh.
5/31/2022 LCSA-K.
If you double click on that, does it open it up?
Yeah.
I can find out for you guys if you want. I can send an email out.
Well, I
to
was just
everybody
wondering if
tomorrow.
it's connected to the telecom.
Yeah.
Should it be rolled, should those 3 units be rolled together?
Yeah.
Those 3 GL numbers?
And that
Well, if
one-
it's not a franchise fee, then probably not. I would say to keep them separate. So I will drill down what exactly that is for you guys tomorrow. I'd have to go back through all of our
Yeah.
receipts, like physical copies of receipts, to be able to see exactly what that is. Sometimes it will say in there and it's straightforward, and sometimes not. So I'll make a note.
That'll be easy. Yeah, and I think that was, just looking at this, and after all these years, just having better descriptors will really help
Yeah,
us.
absolutely.
It is really important, because at any time a clerk can leave, a clerk, anything can happen, right? And then if you don't have a clean general ledger, or, at least clear and clean descriptions of things, somebody else is going to walk into this job and they're going to be like, what is this? And then it's a lot more digging that needs to be necessary for anybody new walking in.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we didn't experience that.
Oh, we did experience that.
You did.
A little bit. A little bit.
So
Okay.
I think
So
our,
wait, I do
Okay, so we're
have,
going
I just
to-
have two more questions. I can get through them really quick. So I did confirm that that is the house revenue under miscellaneous. So the house revenue that we had there was 279,179.55, and you'll probably see that there's what, 285 something there,
Yeah,
105? So I drilled down to see what the other two things were, and then one of them was a $420.78 a dividend payment that we had put under miscellaneous. And there's another $4,258.04, and that was a DNR, State of Michigan payment. And then we had talked to Raina about that, and she advised us to put it under miscellaneous because I believe it was some sort of extra revenue that we had from the State of Michigan. So she advised us to put that under miscellaneous. So that's what those things are. So that, yes, that is the house.
and I noticed that our state shared revenue was also higher than forecasted, which is great. I think it's because the state has had a boom. There's a revenue boom at the state. That's why I didn't include it as a question, because I thought I knew the answer already.
Yeah.
But it's good for us. So are you
Where is
done?
that going next
And I
year,
just
though?
have,
What's our budget next year for state revenue? Are we
We
expecting?
get you guys should have received a letter that said this is how much to budget for your state shared revenue next year.
I haven't gotten that
You should have
letter
gotten an
yet.
email or a letter or something.
I'll look and see.
You can do a web search and,
Okay.
and it's published at the state of Michigan.
State of Michigan?
Yeah.
That'd be nice to start.
You know, like just, if you just enter into Google Township State Shared Revenue Fiscal 24 or something, you should get a result.
Okay.
Can I just ask a procedural question real fast? Are we looking to get the general fund, our revenue under control so we can start plopping in the budget by
Yeah.
the next meeting? Like,
Yeah.
are we going to have our revenue so we'll know what our overall budget is?
Yeah, I think this is moving in that direction.
Yeah.
That's the point. Yep, thank you.
So was that everything, Maris? Because
No.
I'm going to read back my, what I think our to-do list is.
Okay, no, not yet. I have one more, I have one more question to answer. So the other question was, can you confirm the Michigan class revenue has been created in the GL and the income from it will appear in the next GL report? So I went ahead and that report that I gave you guys all, I highlighted all of that. So the interest is now there and you can see the interest and also the line items for it. So
Perfect.
I think that's
Great.
it.
Good
If
job.
anybody has any more questions for me, please let me know.
Good job. We
do you want-
budgeted zero and we got $18,963.
What time frame is that?
Oh,
Should
well,
I-
but no, I mean, yes and no, Diane, because if you go to,
Our interest income.
yeah, the interest
budget was
income
$5,000.
was $5,000 is
And
what we
see,
budgeted
I think
for.
this is really important because you know how there are rumors on social media that we're not getting revenue. You know, and that's been some of the
Yeah.
I'm going to call it disinformation, not misinformation, that's out there. It's because that state share revenue wasn't showing up on the account. So now
Or
they're going,
interest or state shared revenue?
well, the Michigan,
Michigan class?
The Michigan class interest, it wasn't on the account.
Yeah.
The interest income was budgeted at 5,000, but we've only received 400. That's because you moved the monies out of PNC or whatever and to the Michigan class, and that is yielding at a much higher rate, but that was hidden in the GL reports.
Yeah, it wasn't hidden. They weren't actually created yet.
It
Heather
wasn't.
had opened those accounts.
Yeah, it
So-
wasn't reflected, I guess.
Right.
It wasn't reflected in the general ledger, so there was
Right.
an appearance that we were below budget in interest income, when in fact, we have exceeded the budget.
Correct.
So,
And what time frame is this $18,000 that we've earned? Like, is that from last, true, like, when did you start Michigan classes?
Oh,
That's
geez,
what
I think
I'm
I started, I
asking.
think I opened the first account in May,
Okay,
or
so we're 7 months in.
I believe so.
So next year we
I can tell you,
anticipating
I can
30,000.
actually, you know what, I should have looked that up, but I can tell you exactly, every single month, I give you guys the statement report, so,
What I-
in the board packet,
What
so.
I'm going after is to counter the mis or disinformation out there and doing something in the loop of, here's the interest we were incurring, here's the interest we're now earning.
Well, and the other piece of disinformation is the cost of the Woodhill Group.
Yeah.
And this is the benefit. So when I talked about the return on investment, the benefit of the Woodhill Group is this value right here, which exceeds the cost of the contract within a single calendar year.
Correct, which, yeah, I mean, and we're not even, I mean, we still are collecting interest until, what, the end of March, so
Right.
it's not bad.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it was worth it. It was,
Fabulous.
you know, we've made back more than it cost us, and anyone who says anything else that's disinformation. So the action items I have, 1, change the query parameters to show the complete general ledger. 2, consolidate the franchise fees in the 2024 budget, FY '24 budget. Reduce the franchise fee forecasted revenue to $65,000 in the fiscal '24 budget. Assign revenues to the correct accounts, so that's a general ledger cleanup action item for the clerk or Heather, and then a Google search on the state shared revenues to pull the budget number for the state shared revenue. Did anybody else have any other to-do items?
I just have one question to David, is where does he think the planning's coming for
He's
the
gone.
next year?
Oh,
Or should we reduce our planning revenue since we only made $500 this year?
Well, what David was saying is that it's not really revenues that we get from planning, it's kind of like a transfer type situation.
It's in and out.
yeah, and so I say,
Leave it.
just leave it. It doesn't matter.
And I think the other thing was working in the ledger to clarify some of the all of the descriptors
Oh, yeah.
that you can't look at. Oh, where's that from without,
Yeah.
going and finding a file.
Yeah, to have more intuitive line item. Do you want me to type up this to-do list for you after?
That would be awesome.
Hey, great.
Secretary.
Do you guys think that I've done meetings like this before, once or twice?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I love these questions.
I know.
I was really happy to have these because it actually helped me to kind of go in and figure things out too and, look at things. Because I just get so into my job and just doing my job, and this kind of expands me to look into other departments, talk to David, see what's going on.
to be coordinated, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
for
and
sure.
this is financial management, basically, it's knowing the answers to these, and if we did this every month, each month, we would only be doing 1/12 of what we're doing right now, because, so if every month when we talked about the financial reports, it was, oh, you'll notice this variance, this new variance, and here's the explanation either, and like I said last time, there's really only 2 possibilities. One is something happened in the real world to create the variance, or 2, there was an accounting error. And so every month, either here's the variance, either something happened in the real world, and here's what it is, like David just explained to us, or there's an accounting error, and we're on it, and we're going to fix it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, thanks.
But you have to
Yeah,
know the
thank
right
you.
questions to ask.
Well, but I mean, we're just supposed to, we're looking to the executive.
I know.
We're not
but-
supposed to.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not really our job.
But it's been
Don't
very
worry.
helpful.
So I then took, because the FICA and the life insurance were
Put in one pot.
yeah, the budget, the budget was fragmented, let's say, or divided amongst, wait, before we get to that, let's talk about the policy and budget questions. So the first is my question about ARPA, and I think it was Raina who told us that there's a time limit on expensing ARPA. So we've received the funds, but I'm not sure that we're going to spend in the categories. We made a policy decision, and I'm not sure we're going to spend in those categories. So I'm wondering if for the budget this year, we should reallocate the ARPA funds to local roads, 100% to local roads, because we know we're going to spend for local roads. Karen, you tell me, because we've also got broadband, and we've got
Yeah.
multi-lakes, and I think some open space, and
Yeah.
I think it's here on this, I think if you look back, Karen, I think it shows how much we,
at the back.
yeah, the report that I sent you guys, that
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
handed out, it shows you exactly how much we assigned.
So,
We put,
It's on page 11 of 12, right?
yeah. So,
I don't see that.
11 of 12. So we put 221,998.
I didn't think we put 221 in broadband. I thought we put $78,000. We had 154,000 for multi-lakes, which will be spent this year. So I hate to move that out. Here's my thing, is I think we should use, now this is gonna sound kind of strange, but I agree with you partially, Karen, but not all the way. I don't think this is the year to move it. Next year, absolutely, I think
Okay.
it should be moved.
So this is what I see on this. If you look on page 12, Karen,
Page 12.
you see we have zero budget for multi-lakes, but we have a $269,000 expense.
That's the money that we moved out and repaid them, I believe.
Yeah, that's a
That-
different,
that
that's
was
not the
taken out.
ARPA.
Okay, so that's not ARPA.
money.
I don't know what this sewer expense is for $10,000.
I don't
open
either.
space
I
one? I'm not
can't
seeing
figure that out.
Well, it could be
Where is that one at?
misremembering, you know?
Page 12, second thing, capital
I mean,
improvements.
I think this was a transfer out. This was supposed to be, so this 965, other financing uses transfer out of 300,000, I think that was meant to go to open space.
Where are you?
Where?
And it,
Let's stay on the same page. Where-
I'm on page 11.
Page 11.
So let's just go top to bottom on
ARPA?
ARPA. So top one, $4,600, I don't know what that is.
So we need.
Other federal grants, that's
we
a
need to
question.
fi- We need to find out what that is.
Then we've got accounting and finance under ARPA, which I assume is something that Colleen, it's probably an allowable expense under an allowable overhead expense, and that means we've got to assign those costs to it. 221,998 for broadband.
I thought it was. what-
That's a
I
lot.
thought it was like
It wasn't that much.
75,000 or something.
Wait a minute, I'm doing math in my head.
Yeah.
I
So-
think what she did is she lumped multi-lakes and broadband together.
Okay,
Because multi-lakes was 154,000.
Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
I thought it was around 80,000 for broadband in case we had any ancillary costs.
okay.
And we're not going to know that
And then
in 6 or
capital,
7 months. I mean, we're just not going to know.
Okay, so say it again, Karen.
It was 154 was dedicated to multi-lakes. And that is probably 80% sure to be spent in this upcoming calendar year.
Okay, so 154
And then
was
the
supposed to be multi-lakes,
Yeah.
and then the
It was like
remaining,
80,000 for broadband.
okay.
or,
Makes sense.
okay, and 80K for broadband.
So-
Okay, so, and then I believe,
So that puts us at 4, that puts it at 234, which is 221, so.
and then I'm going to say that my memory tells me that that next 300,000 other financing uses transfer
Roads,
out.
right?
I think that was roads.
Yeah,
Was it roads?
It was roads or open
Or
space.
open.
I thought it was
I think
open
that's open
space. I
space,
think we
yeah.
used it, but you see that the transfer didn't occur, and so if you go back a single page, the open space land initiative is on the prior page.
Yeah.
And so that capital improvements, infrastructure, open space purchases, 300,000. I think that that's the 300,000 from ARPA, but if you're not going to be able to spend it, because in fact, you're so efficient and you're raising so much money, and you're got the millage and all of that, you may not need.
I think, I talked to Barry, and I think there's a real possibility that we would spend it.
Well, so here's the thing, I'm not proposing neither to you, Karen, nor Laura, I'm not saying change the allocation at all, I'm just saying change the source. Because if we use general fund, there's no time limit on it. So I'm just suggesting that we assign the ARPA costs to the soonest eligible purpose And that's why I said roads, but we could do it next year because if you want, but we can't forget, because if we don't do it, then we run the risk of losing that money. And there's no reason not to do it, in my opinion. There's no reason not to do it now and be risk averse.
Okay.
The only thing that bothers, there's two things that bother me.
Go ahead. I just want to give facts. So by the end, so we have to have it appropriated by the end of calendar year 2024, which we already do.
Which we did.
Yeah.
And expended by the end of calendar year 2026.
Right.
Oh,
But here's the
okay.
issue is, we better spend it while we're in office.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it could get misdirected to things we don't want it to go
Oh,
to.
true.
Or,
Do you know what I mean?
So did we
or
not
it
use
could also get forgotten, we might forget that we, or, I mean, maybe we won't be here, or we'll be brain dead next year or something, but somehow someone needs to be tracking on this.
Right.
And has to remember that we have time-limited funds
Right.
that we need to expense by the end of 2026.
I would recommend keeping it the same this year and working hard to expend it. And whatever's left next year, we roll it into, because next year we're going to have problem funding our road. Roll it into the road project and move forward with it and spend it before we leave office.
I mean, we don't have to make a decision now, but I like
But yeah,
that.
that's a
So
good
then did we never
suggestion.
assign ARPA money, roads for ARPA money?
It looks like we
Did
didn't.
we did it out of general fund, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember in
Now
the
it's all coming
beginning,
back?
no,
But we're still short money.
but in the beginning, when ARPA started, they said it could not be used for roads, and then it
Right.
changed. So
Right, that's
remember
right,
in the
it did.
beginning-
Then they
It changed.
That's why we
If
did
we
it.
did 300 for open space and 221 for broadband and sewer, that's only 521,000. We're missing $160,000. Where is it?
Yeah, and this is, and Karen, the budget is obviously messed up, so the
Right.
budget isn't in the right lines, and the revenue isn't showing up at all.
Right.
So we might have actually received the whole allocation, but since the revenue is not
Right.
showing up here, and that's why we need to have our general ledger cleaned up, because we need to be able to see these things, and if in fact we didn't
Correct.
collect our extra $150,000, we need to be able to look at a financial report and see that.
Yeah. I agree
Well,
100%.
I can provide you with a bank statement.
Right, I mean, I think a bank state, I think a bank
that's all-
statement
I mean,
is,
yeah.
I think a bank statement, it's, you are doing the reconciliation that really matters, in a sense. You're reconciling the bottom line of the general ledger to the bank statements. So we know that the money's there.
Right.
But we need
But
to
and
be
for
able to.
budget purposes, I
Because
can't
we
see
need to know if something's, what we really need to know is if something's happening in the real world that we need to take action on. And if the accounting errors are such that we can't see that, then we
Yeah.
can't do
Plus, I believe you
that.
have to report to the state how you're spending your ARPA money. So when we do release those funds, I think we have to do reports back to the state.
And we
back to the
did,
Fed.
I remember we did send in a report at
Of
the
what we're going to
daylight.
do.
I think
after we-
Colleen did one of
Yeah,
those, didn't
after
she?
we did the budget
Yeah,
meeting
because
and
they loosened
appropriated the
everything.
funds. I
But we
think
got-
some of the other money was appropriated for redesigning and starting some work on the offices.
It
So that's where
was.
that other.
Oh.
it was six-
160,000?
It was
Yeah.
60,000 to have a redesign.
So we're short
And then there was
100,000.
money, and then there was money to actually do some of the work. So it's not, it might not be the whole thing, but I remember
Okay.
that was also part of the
Yeah, I mean,
money
we
that
only got 2 installments of payments. They gave us half and then half, so
Eh,
it's
All the
fair.
money's here. but
Yeah,
you're right,
and it
we
would
have
be
to-
good to know how much came in. I think it was supposed to be 690, but I mean, that's
It's
a
somewhere
year
very
ago.
close to that.
680 something.
Yeah, okay, so that was all the budget questions, and my only to-do, well, my 2 to-dos out of that are figure out the ARPA allocations in the budget, because it's a little bit messed up, and that's the page
This is
11.
as good as I could
Yeah.
do for you guys.
No, but you found it. I mean, this
great.
is
You did a
great.
great
I
job,
mean,
no kidding.
but it's, they're not quite in the right categories, because multi-lakes isn't showing up and blah, blah, blah.
And we need to find out what that $10,000 for that sewer is.
Yeah. I don't-
$10,000 for sewer, I don't
It
remember
says
that.
year-to-date balance $10,000. It says sewer expenses. No clue what that is.
Oh,
Hey, can you
And
drill
it
down
was
that?
Yeah, I'm
it was
trying to
in
see if I-
parentheses, right?
Yeah, well, it says it's a year-to-date balance. It's showing that.
Because I did another,
10,000
on
over
my
budget.
treasurer's report, when I pulled that up, it was pulling on that too, for whatever reason.
I mean, my guess is because there were a couple
Right there,
places where there
Diane,
weren't
third
expenses, it's
line.
another issue with the,
Yeah.
expenses
Oh,
getting
Stan
funded.
Tech, oh,
Stan
Stan Tech,
Okay, that's two of Stan Tech's payments.
yeah.
There should be a third payment. So those are not under the right GL.
Okay, so the sewer
we
expense
go.
is really a Sandtech expense?
There's 15,000 should fall under Stan Tech. I don't know where the other 5,000 is.
And what was the Stantec expense
We
for?
Did the engineering
consulting.
report for the
Consulting.
future of multi-lakes.
So that's a multi-lakes expense.
It's a multi-lakes expenditure. We commit, that was that part of 15,000?
That had, yes, it is. It should have been.
So that
Yeah.
needs to go, so we need to
So that
take,
really should be accounted to our ARPA funds.
so this 901, Department 901, 569901 needs to go to ARPA.
Well, yeah, that, and we got to find the other $5,000. We paid them 15 change.
Okay, so basically, I think what I have written, and I hope this is clear enough for later, is figure out the ARPA allocations and correct for the next budget year. And then the other is showing the ARPA, the receipt of ARPA funds in the general ledger, and then those page 12 sewer expenses, 901, 569, 901, need to move into ARPA as an expense.
And then on this other multi-lake, oh, that's the 269, okay. Never mind.
Oh,
I mean, it
no,
says
that's
account-
just the budget. We didn't spend it. We're looking for $5,000.
Okay, so should we move to the,
Well, did you write to find the other $5,000 on your to-do list?
find the
Yeah,
Find the third Stan Tech payment.
10K, and 3 is find the 5K Stantec payment?
Yeah, it's 5 plus.
Okay,
And does it need to be moved then to ARPA funds as opposed to multi-lakes? Because
Yeah.
right now it's under the multi-lakes fund.
Yeah, it should,
Okay.
everything, all that 15,000 should go under ARPA because it was
Okay.
towards the sewer system.
so where's the multi-lakes? How can we guide them to the multi-lakes line that you're talking about? Where is it in here? What page is it on? or
Page
what?
12 of 12.
Oh,
Oh, that's under the ARPA.
no, that's not.
No, it's at the
It's a
end.
Oh,
different
this up
fund
here.
number.
The 516, it's a 569 account.
That's the 10,000 Stantec, but she's looking for the other 5,000.
No, that's the 269,000 I think you're talking about. That's, we
Oh.
were holding money before you came.
Right.
We were holding $500,000 of sewer money that they overpaid us. And so this is like the last payment we made to refund their money was
But
$269,000.
the,
So we probably should have amended the budget when we approved that expense. We needed to create a budget line for that and show that as a budget amendment because we did approve that.
But the question is, we had $500,000, so there's another 260 somewhere.
Okay, so the whole multi-lakes account
multi-lakes
needs to be.
account is-
Yeah,
And I think, what I would say is, what I'm going to put on this to-do list is for you to come in and talk to Heather and Michelle.
Okay.
Does that make
You know,
sense?
it might be this, see down farther, total revenues, it gives 279. If we took that 279 and added it to the 269, is that like 537,000?
This isn't a revenue, Karen, this is an expense.
No, but I'm just putting these two numbers together. Oh, my phone's on this.
Oh, the transfer out and then the
Yeah, I think that's where the
279.
no,
categories
it's
are.
this is the total of these two. Because it's showing up here too.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah, that's just the
It's
total.
548,000.
Yeah, that's all.
Those two numbers were the two numbers that we were holding of multi-lake money.
Mm-hmm.
So that 269 and that 279,
No, Karen, that's,
what?
The
Delani
the
just,
269 and the 10 are what make the 279.
that's just a total.
That's a
That
total.
279 is just a total.
Oh, damn.
So Karen, can I put Karen, Heather, and Michelle to figure out multi-lakes?
Multi-lake is messed up.
but right now Heather has done the work within the scope of work of what we requested for her. And except for the conversion, correct me if I'm wrong, except for the conversion of the chart. So I think this would be a point where if we're going to have somebody else come in and help us do this, then I think, do we want to re-engage their firm, or do we want to think about using Kim Haynes, who is much, who's also very familiar.
less expensive.
And less expensive. So, anyway, so before we add.
So I'm going to add to the list, decide if we should engage someone to help
Yeah.
with continued general ledger cleanup.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Maybe not just with the general ledger cleanup, but to act as a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
We've got a long to-do list.
Yeah, but it feels manageable.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to
Okay.
get specific, because it's making more sense.
Yeah. Okay. So,
For me too.
so then let's move to the expense analysis. And at the top is how I consolidated the FICA, the life insurance, and the roads, which were ones that I was pretty sure were fragmented. And then you can see in the questions I'm asking whether there's more of that could have been done, but I didn't feel comfortable doing it because I wasn't sure. And so coming out of this life insurance question is the question of, it doesn't look like we budgeted for life insurance.
And
but
we
it's-
never got life insurance, yeah. It's really hard to get for a small group like this, so,
So maybe it's a
It's-
budget, is consider whether to eliminate life
yeah,
insurance
I
from the
think that would be
budget.
definitely, think about, or if there's other, if there's something we want to replace it with, or, yeah.
Yeah, maybe a health insurance subsidy or something.
Yes.
It could just be a stipend, since I know it's difficult to get
Yes, how we,
also health insurance. So I'll put consider eliminating or repurposing life insurance budget line. And then the roads, Diane and I emailed a little bit back and forth about this. What I would like to see happen when an expense gets approved or paid is that it gets compared to the budget, and if it's over budget, we talk about it, so that's a case where they went over, we thought it was likely because of inflation and construction costs and all of that, but it would be good to note it when it happens and be conscious about making a decision that, yes, we're going to go ahead and spend more than we budgeted for it. And I'm not 100% sure that this is consolidated, because that 60,000 might have
Where is
been
that?
for the culverts.
What column are you on? Where is roads?
Well, there's roads under capital, and then there was $60,000 under a different line.
Yeah, that's what I saw, 63,000 or something. There's a
And,
little-
and the 60,000, I think, might have been for culverts, and then the road commission, so it's page 6,
Of the
Of 12.
31 ones?
well, I don't have a printout of the
That's the
1231. so-
63,000
This,
one.
this same one we've been looking at?
Yeah, yes, Karen, the 63,000, I don't know what, the per diem is just for for my road committee, and nobody got paid, nobody knew even that they were supposed to get paid, so they were all surprised when they read the charge.
I'm not getting a meeting matrix, so
Yeah.
I don't know when the road
Yeah.
committee is, who's on it.
So
so
we
they-
were $124,000 over budget on the actual road expenditures.
Well, but there's 60,000
Right.
contracted services under the roads department 446, which I am not sure, I would have to go back to the contract, and that would be the place to go, you should have the signed contract, Michelle, to go back to the original signed contract and see whether the 60,000 was for the culverts and then 600,000 for the roads, or what. I just can't remember what our contract was.
so if you drill down on the one I have up, the roads, the Washtenaw County Road, so.
That's the actual road.
It's
payment.
629, so the first bill we paid was 308, 607. Then there was 197, I don't know what that was for. And then the roads committee, oh, that was, I'm sorry, let me see.
Well, there's, if you go just a little bit farther down, there's road improvements that were budgeted at 604, and the actual is 724. So,
Drop down. See, that's, why does that say
Why
629?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
different.
we're
Yeah,
looking
my-
at 131, that's why. Your report is 1231, Diane, we're looking at a 131 report.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did we
okay.
just make a road payment?
Yeah.
Let me look at it, December report.
We did.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
I'm guessing that this was a real-world thing and not an accounting thing, except that the 60,000 is on one line and the 600,000 is on another line, and I don't know if that was, I don't know why that is. So I don't know if that's a budgeting error or if it's not a budgeting error and there was actually a separate purpose for that 60,000.
Gotcha.
You know, so like, we often will pay a smaller amount for just routine road repair, so maybe the 60,000 is just a carry forward from the prior year of routine road repair, or maybe the 60,000 was the culvert, or maybe it just got split onto two lines or something, but I just don't know.
I believe there was still a payment left for the roads that we voted to repair, as well as dust control and our normal grading. So that was a question I had too. Should I be breaking it up for just our maintenance contracted services and the 60,000 for when roads are just graded, and leave, you know, for the 600,000 that was our initiative that we voted to repair these, do big repairs to these 6 roads? Question.
Yes, I think that the routine repairs should go under the roads line,
Okay.
and the routine maintenance should go under the roads department, and the capital improvements, which are those bigger, we make a policy decision, we contract with them, and they improve the roads, that's a capital improvement, and it goes into the capital line.
Can do that.
And the reason is, the capital line is, this is another bit of misinformation that's been floating around, that people are saying that we had a budget deficit. We didn't have a budget deficit. We have capital improvements in the budget, and capital improvements, you can fund those from your balances, because you're converting your balances from cash into other physical assets, right? And so if it's a capital expense, not a routine operating expense, but an improvement, then it goes under capital. And if it's a routine expense, it should just go under the roads maintenance line.
So Diane, if you click on that 600 or the 724,000, yeah, click there.
No, they have that one up. I
Is
won't-
any
Yeah,
of
because you
that-
can see last month we paid
Yeah, I see
94,981, so now, okay.
But we don't know if any of that is regular maintenance of our road versus our big road project.
So there was a portion that did have dust control.
Okay. Dust control of what we improved? Because that would be okay, wouldn't it? That
No,
wouldn't be
dust
maintenance.
control is just a routine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a routine
So we just need to break
maintenance.
dust control off of that and put it under the 60,000 GL?
And that was a question that I actually had for the board, which I was happy that, I was planning to address that too,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
And then, can I ask a question before we move off this one? So then here, this is where you put in the money, the 197 for advertising in the Sun-Times, is that, where would that go? And where does the per diem go? So,
Oh, the one.
there should be a
So-
separate, should there be a separate
It should
account
be-
for the road committee? And then.
It is. It's Department 446.
Oh.
Isn't that the road committee for our contracted services?
What did we do in the, what did we do
No,
in
for
the
your road
Sun-Times?
committee, so there's
Yeah,
a
the
charge
roads,
under
yeah.
this,
Yeah, under Department 446, we have a per diem in
What-
there
what
that they
page
can
are you
start
on?
drafting on.
Well, wait a second, but what
Okay.
what is
Oh,
the
here.
Sun-Times expense for the road committee?
They had to run an ad to advertise for people.
yeah,
For the road commission, for the road.
for
Public
your road
notice.
committee, yeah. So that was 100, but I'm just saying, should there be a separate area
Yeah.
for the committee's expenses, like, for example, the things you want to do this year,
Yes.
which is separate from the money that gets
Because
approved
that's
for the
not a
capital
capital improvement.
improvements.
It's
No,
right.
but there's a roads account, Department 446, and then there's a capital improvements account,
Right.
right?
Can't we change that FICA and med match to a miscellaneous for the road committee?
Well, no,
Or
I mean,
insert-
I'm not, I mean, so I'm not in favor of creating more fragmentation in the accounts. So I don't want to make a separate department.
Right, but you don't want 197 under capital expenses.
Yeah.
That's got to get out of expenses. and go
No,
over to
it should have
maintenance.
gone over to roads.
Yeah.
And
to the
and it'll just be,
446.
and it's just going to be a budget variance. I mean, so we're going to
Okay.
we're going to show 0 for per diems and $197 for advertising.
I mean, the
Yeah.
point of the chart of accounts, though, I mean, that's the Michigan law, that's like the guidelines that we have to have. Now, do we have to adhere to those completely, or can we kind of create our own?
We have to.
In accounts, you know what I mean? Like, if we're setting up, and the state has us setting up these accounts, and we have to show specific things. I get, like, when we run reports, they don't have to show everything to the board all the time, and that's too much fluff for you guys. But if we start, I mean, we need to know what parameters that we should be.
That's right, we have to comply with the requirements of the chart of accounts, and that, and part of what I'm saying is, we have a lot of little subdivisions of accounts in here that I don't think anybody's managing to, like, we have a trustee account, we have, a department, a supervisor department, a clerk department, and really, I don't think that those are necessary because we don't have a clerk department and a treasurer department like Washtenaw County does, with each of them having $1 million budget or whatever and their own staff and all that kind of stuff. So there's really no reason we couldn't have a general government for a management, for purpose of managing the money. We could just have general government and a line item that says clerk salary, treasurer's salary. But we don't know what the requirements are. I don't know what the requirements are for the chart of accounts. So we could
I'm just
only-
thinking, because, yes, I understand that we're very small scale, but we do have separate departments, like Michelle has her postage for elections, I have my postage for taxes. There are certain things that we do have to
Right.
subdivide.
Yeah, so you have to maintain, for fund accounting, you would have to maintain the separation where it's needed.
For fund account.
Right.
I see.
But, so for tax collection, yes. For elections, yes. For trustees versus supervisor, no. There's no external entity that we're billing or whatever. But I don't know how much of the township's chart of accounts is required.
Right.
But this is a very complex chart of accounts for a very small budget, and it's
Yeah.
part of why that we've got so many errors.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And so if we have the freedom to simplify it, I think it would reduce our error rate.
Yeah, we just need to figure out what our freedom is with that,
Yeah.
and yeah, okay.
I have a question too. Go ahead.
I would make the
I
recommendation,
think-
I would make the recommendation, let's clean it before we simplify
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
let's
Oh,
not put
yeah.
all the departments together or anything until we know we have a really clean.
Well,
general
here's the
ledger.
thing, though, is
You
that
know
some
what I
of
mean?
that cleaning process was happening
Yeah.
towards the end of Woodhill's
Right,
exit.
I
Then they
get
got
that.
closed out of our accounts, so then
Yeah.
at that point, there was half of the work
Yeah.
done, and then these two things aren't compatible
Yeah.
anymore. So that
Right.
stuff needs to be addressed
Right.
in order to be able to have, well,
Yeah.
on my end anyways, or everybody's end actually, to have accurate reporting, because the money's there, it's just not in the right line
Right,
item
it's
for
not in the
this
right
report.
buckets, right.
Right, right.
That's a
So-
huge disconnect.
Well, it's not just for this report, it's,
Well,
this column is what we authorized, and this column is what we spent.
Right.
And so this report is just showing what's messed up in the general ledger.
correct.
Yeah.
The report needs to reflect the new corrected
Right.
numbers.
Right, yeah.
Which it hasn't for so long, so no
Right.
wonder, there's been.
It doesn't even show the changes in, when we got that cost of living raise in March, April. So it doesn't even reflect the increase that the salaries have. Yeah.
Really?
People are being paid at the increased amount,
Right.
but the salary is not at an increased
It's
amount.
not
It's
showing.
not
It hasn't
reflecting in the
been-
general
it hasn't
ledger?
been
Right,
changed.
no, it's not, because last year we made 37,140, the three of us, and now it's 38. mean,
You're
it's,
right.
you know,
It's still
38
showing
something,
37.
but it's
How
not
is that
amended.
possible?
Because we budgeted 37, we didn't up the budget, we did that after our budget was
Right.
intact.
So we, and I don't
I
think
have
we.
a question, that
Okay,
it's
Laura.
probably not that, you know, it's not a big
So it's-
question, and it's probably not, you know, probably kind of not a very smart question, but like, so we have to have everything separated under all of these headings or all of these categories? Like, why don't we have like a Sun Times promotional advertising budget line, and then open space and roads and everything we advertise in Sun Times goes under that? Why don't we do that? Does it have to be that there's a little, like advertisement, advertisement category for planning commission? and
That's
for
exactly-
roads
that's
and
exactly
for-
what I'm saying,
You know,
Laura,
can we
yeah.
just have like a promotional, you know, sometimes promotional budget line?
The state kind of dictates, Laura, how we
Do
set
they?
up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they dictate how we set up our chart of accounts. So that way those are the guidelines that they want you to follow. And then I don't know how much tweaking, and that's what we were saying.
So-
We
Okay.
don't know
We
how
want to
much tweaking we
simplify it
can
as
do
much as we
outside of
can
that.
within, but still meeting
But
the
you have to,
state
okay, that was my question,
Yeah.
like, you know, is that the way they want it? They want it by subject versus like,
For department, yeah.
yeah.
So
whatever you like
I'm
to
just
call
going
it.
to put like explore simplifying explore our, how much authority do we have to simplify the budget?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know, I asked Heather the other day, as far as cleaning up like inactive accounts, well, if there were a correction that was made, because there was a couple accounts that I'm like, we can get rid of these, we don't use these, and she's like, but the problem is that if there was activity in them, so when there were mistakes made.
That's right.
There was activity, so we cannot delete
You can't
those
kill them, yeah.
for a
Well,
year.
Right, well, until the end of the fiscal year.
Right.
We close out the fiscal year, that's going to happen soon, so we can clean it up
Yeah.
for next fiscal year.
That would be awesome,
Yeah,
This is
and
a-
get rid of all these
I say,
zeroed
this
out
is a 2-year project.
So I see capital improvements, infrastructure, of course, and we have building improvements, road improvements, broadband infrastructure, and info communications. Is there a reason why, since we have the roads department, 526, that road improvements can't be up with that group?
Well, because you want to show your capital improvement costs separate from your routine operating costs.
Okay.
Because it needs to be really clear to people that our routine operating costs are equal to or less than our revenue. But our capital expenses can draw from our balances, fund balances. So our capital improvements, we can draw from our fund balances to support those. So anything that is a capital improvement has to be isolated into its capital improvements bucket.
Does everybody understand that?
Yeah, that's really helpful to understand, to be reiterated.
I mean, I was just curious why, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you
It's a
want to
good
talk with
question,
Capital
right, it's a
Yeah.
very good question.
Yeah,
So let's move
and then again, I mean, just to sort of reiterate this, so on social media, people were saying, there's a budget deficit, but in fact, the difference between our forecasted revenues and our forecasted expenses was less than the capital improvements. So we still had an operating surplus, but we were drawing from our balances to support those capital expenses.
Right. We're the old entities. And it's confusing to the public because the old board, if they spent $700,000 on roads, but if they did, at the end of the year, they went and amended their budget to $700,000.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
they never showed a plus or a minus at the end of the
Right.
year. They zeroed everything out and amended their budget, so everything was zero. So you never saw if there was a surplus or a deficit when you read the year-end budgets.
But Karen, I think it's also confusing because the bottom line shows a negative on the budget.
Yeah.
You know, and so it looks like you've got a budgeted deficit, and that's because the
But it's
capital expenses
Right.
is folded in with the operating expenses on the bottom line of
It's
this
a planned
report.
deficit.
Yeah,
It's transparent.
yeah. It's showing that we've made a decision to use those fund balances to improve the township.
So what, out of this conversation, what did we just add to the action list?
Explore how much authority we have to simplify the chart of accounts.
Okay. Move the 197 over to roads, out of capital expense into roads.
Okay.
Oh, we
Okay,
can't-
so-
You're ready.
so-
Well, we can't vote on anything tonight.
So we're going to move, but these aren't,
Well,
these
that's
aren't,
work
these
on-
aren't
that's
policy
key to
decisions of the
general
board.
ledger.
These are just
Yeah.
general ledger.
Suggestions, okay.
Well, no, they're just general ledger cleanup items that we've identified. They're not decisions.
It doesn't
And I
even
would
take
put them
a
in
vote.
contracted
Move,
services.
so we're going to move the non-capital costs
Right.
from capital expenses to the appropriate operating accounts. Is that going to make sense to you, Michelle?
It's from 901 to 446, if you want to shorten it.
So 901 to 446.
46, yeah.
Okay. And a lot of these questions, I mean, should we go through the questions one by one? Because they're really just, it's this same kind of thing.
Here's another thing that under capital expenses, remember I kept saying $78,000 for broadband? There's your $78,000 under capital expenses, which was really dictated back to ARPA funds.
What page are you on, Karen?
6 of 12, on the 131 report.
On the what?
On the January, let me look at the other.
Oh, right, because we don't have the
Or are you
print.
looking at a different one?
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
looking
so,
at the,
so the 78,002,
the 78,000.
that was supposed to move.
those were ARPA funds.
So
That
this
should
is
be
in the
go-
wrong line.
Exactly, that should go over to ARPA. It was
So
for
that's a
capital
budget.
expenses for,
That's a budget error.
yeah. I knew it was $78,000.
Good job.
And I also think, which is kind of, well, maybe not, because when we planned to do the multi-lakes engineering, we budgeted $20,000, not 15, but it came in under budget when we contracted with them. And I don't know if that information communication systems for 20,000 is supposed to do that.
Well, there's more information system stuff in other spots.
Yes.
And that was one of my questions.
That's why we're 9,000 over. in
You know.
security.
Yeah.
So I think we may be getting at one of the core issues that we're not, that really understanding that difference between, you know, why does it look duplicative? Because sometimes the expenses are capital costs and sometimes they're operating costs. And so if they're capital costs, they have to go into the capital lines. If they're operating, they have to go into the operating line. So something like information technology, you can't necessarily tell just by looking at, you have to really understand, is this just a routine expense that's part of our core operations? Or is this an improvement? Are we investing in a new IT system? If it's a new IT system that we're investing in, then it's a capital cost and it goes under the capital line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to say it is 7:15 and we are committed to, and I think this is going great, but it is 7:15 and we're committed to,
Thank you for keeping us on
to
track.
being
Diane.
done at 8 o'clock tonight. And so I just want to, and according to the agenda,
I did
we
answer
were
the
going
questions
to
on yours.
continue to
I
work.
don't know if you wanted, I don't mean
fir-
to talk over you.
The first item is the general ledger, which is what we're doing right now. And then the second item, whatever my agenda is to go over elections. I mean, I am happy to stay with this conversation and
Well,
move
that's
along.
overlap because elections is on this list of questions, too, of the expense questions.
And I did write out,
Well, let's figure out how we want to continue with the meeting, and then I'd love to hear what you
Okay.
had to say.
I was just
Okay.
letting her know that I did write out the answers. She's looking at one that didn't have,
Where's
it
the,
might make it go.
Do we
quicker.
want to continue with the general, I mean, we might not,
we could give it 10 more minutes and just sort of
Yeah,
run
until
through.
7:30, keep on this track. Okay,
yeah.
all right, I'm just checking.
And then like 15 minutes on election and 15 minutes on budget, is that enough? Or do we have budget, is budget
Yeah,
on
and
our-
then we can, and yeah, basically, I think we're doing now, it's coming up the same as, what we would be doing for the 24 budget. But we're cleaning this is cleaning up the 23 budget to move into the 24
Yeah.
budget. So, yeah. And we're,
Okay, so you wrote out answers.
It's underneath, that's your, on the blue.
Do we all have those?
Yeah,
We do. Are they in the board packet?
no, it's probably that one.
Let's see.
Okay, so
If you
here's
flip it over,
primary
should be in
election
bold.
costs. This is the election
in here.
cost.
Let her know it's that.
This,
Oh, here, Michelle?
Yeah.
Where you
Those are her
bolded?
questions.
no, this
Okay.
is my
That's
printout.
her question.
I have, that one's probably mine.
No, this is my printout because I can tell because it's in color.
Nope, it's this one that she's got here,
Yeah,
this
it
one.
looks the same on the first page.
black and white?
Because
Yeah, the black and white, okay.
the second page, it's, it's Michelle's answers are bold.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
one?
Ah, okay,
Yep.
great. Thank you. This is also.
Do I have that?
Somewhere.
We've got a lot of papers floating around here tonight, ladies.
Sorry.
I like it.
That's his report.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
If you put that
That's
one.
it, that's, open that, yep, that's it, Michelle.
These are her
Yeah.
questions, and these are your answers. I see.
I just thought it
Nice.
might.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay. I was
That's
looking at
a
yours,
great
not
way to
hers.
do it, okay. So should the info technology cost 7,000 over budget be combined with the Department 901 capital improvements info communication system cost 20K budget surplus and treasurer information system software 1,000 surplus, Department 228 technology and 901 could be combined. We are over budget by $9,000. That is where our live stream cameras are coded and have a budgeted line item, Department 901 with no expenditures. So I would think that the live stream cameras are probably a capital improvement. So that should go against that 20,000.
Account number 901.
Account number 901, yes.
The cameras and equipment should go to 901. And then any repair service that we have should go back to, was it 228?
And 228.
So this is that same principle. If it's
This
a
is very helpful, absolutely.
lasting improvement,
following
it's
it.
capital cost. If it's a routine operating cost. Okay. So that's just a cleanup item.
Perfect.
Do
Okay,
we need to drill down on that, or you can drill down at another time?
you get it.
Do it,
Seems like she's got
you
it.
got that? Okay.
Okay. Why is building and grounds maintenance cost $8,000 over budget? That's, M is supposed to be a comma. Why a $9,208 credit in the landscape fee under the fire substation? Are these related?
You want to drill down on 265, Diane, and we can see it real fast?
Wait, I'm getting confused. I mean, are we letting Michelle speak? So we're asking the questions and Michelle answered them here, right?
Yep.
On the sheet. So what are we doing?
So if you want to bring up,
Question
and it would be,
about your
and
answer.
she was asking for land, building grounds for Dexter Township. And then that will bring up all of the snow removal services. We did have snow removal spring of this year, as well as we've had some snow removal take effect as of late. But everything is on in the screen, of course, it'll be easier to see, and that's Department 228, Diane.
228.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
265.
265.
What page is that
Maintenance is $7,000 over,
so,
This guy went off.
What page are you
on? Huh?
on?
Oh,
3 of 12.
3 of 12.
so the maintenance is 8,000 over for a real world reason?
I don't know where we're looking.
And it's
so.
all, I
Oh.
just don't know how to bring that back up.
3 of 12.
Push your button, Diane. Yeah.
Push it.
What's the real world reason?
Uh-oh, somebody want to help my,
So there was snow removal that began in 4 of 2022.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, good.
It's up.
yep, there we go.
There was
Good job. Get
elevator
up and
maintenance.
Telepath.
3 of 12.
Steel heating and cooling was here. A couple of times we thought was a gas leak, but mainly it was a check valve. There was an elevator exam, as well as mowing expenditures.
Okay, but why is that different than the budget? Like, so we had a plan in place, we thought it was going to be $4,000, and you're telling me what all the expenses were, but what was different in the real world than we thought was going to be when we made the plan originally?
One thing I did express a few times was when a contractor comes in and they give an estimate, it would be, other than snow, you cannot determine unless that individual comes in and is at a set, 13 snows per year, per season, and you're paying them, let's say, $2,500 per month for services rendered, even if it does not snow. So with snow removal, those, thought this was just up. Those costs fluctuate, but with lawn care, there wasn't a monthly normal cost, allocated cost.
So do you
Now,
think
don't
we,
get that bottom thing down.
was it an unusual year in terms of snow? More snow or more, and if not, then should we budget more for next year, you know?
Okay, and can I weigh in here? Because what I can see is that, okay, under this maintenance we upgraded remember we voted to pay more money for the Dexter Pinckney House to get it in shape to sell it. We upgraded the electric panel for $2,120.
Is this an issue with amending the budgets never got amended? Is that what the problem is here? Is
Part of
that?
that should go
Well,
under the
and I
maintenance.
think that Dexter Pinckney House has its own.
Yeah, so
line,
that's just,
and that is a case where we really need to put the Dexter Pinckney House costs under Dexter Pinckney House, because
Right.
that is a true separate cost center.
Yeah.
And we should not be putting costs for anything related to the Dexter Pinckney House there. So we should move all the Dexter
Yeah.
Pinckney House costs out.
should
of-
be.
well, that's just one, that's one.
Okay.
Well, let's see what is the number for the Dexter Pinckney House?
Well, actually, you're under the Dexter Pinckney House. You want to be under 265 maintenance. So you want to be under building and grounds. You're in 266, I believe.
What page?
But that would be building and grounds for here, for this building, right? What about the Dexter Pinckney House?
So we're under,
Page 3.
Okay, so if we're under building and ground,
oh, no, you know what, you're right, Michelle is
266's house.
Am I, so building 266,
So
it's
for
because
building-
the 266, so this is Dexter Pinckney House. So this whole set here is Dexter Pinckney House, because the Dexter Pinckney House title is at the end of the prior page, right?
It's odd, yeah.
So the issue is that we made a lot of, this is the Dexter Pinckney House budget, and we made, no, am I wrong?
No, this still
On
says
page-
26.
At the top of page 4 is the Dexter Pinckney House, number 266. We're looking actually at 265. We budgeted
Right.
$12,000 maintenance, we spent $19,000. If Diane, if you would click on 265 on the 19,000, we'll see if anything's,
Yeah,
there it is.
there you go.
Okay.
Now,
So
is
under
any of that the
maintenance-
house?
I see.
No. So, okay, so far, so the first 15, or first 10 or so are for snow plowing from last year. So that would have been next door, and the fire, well, that wouldn't be the fire station, right? You would break out the fire station.
We paid $2,400 for trees?
There were 3 trees here. And this right
okay.
here,
Yeah.
these two were, they were moved. Those
Tree
were for
removal.
maintenance. Door maintenance.
Tree removal.
Am I reading that? Oh,
We have, oh, here's 4,000 for new entrance doors.
yeah, right, and
Right.
actually, there's 2 lines for new entrance
Yeah,
doors,
but one's
right?
credited right below it.
Yeah.
No.
There's 2, there's the
Oh,
second
I
one
see.
for
It's
the,
credited right
Right,
below it.
there's one for 4,000, 3,933.
Well, obviously, we have still heating and air conditioning problems in July.
Yep,
What's smart home Dexter Township monitoring? Something
you know,
That's our alarm system here.
Here's more locks. There's more locks. Looks like we change locks, lock and door.
yeah, so, I mean, this is just,
That's regular stuff.
I would say it's just regular stuff, so we're possibly under budgeted on that, Diane,
Yeah.
and we should probably increase the
I think,
budget.
and the doors could, yeah.
Doors were $4,000.
And they could definitely go under, I mean,
Capital
that would be a
improvement. That is a-
capital
that's a
improvement,
capital-
right?
yeah, that's a
That's a
capital
capital
So
improvement.
move those doors
So,
into capital.
so yeah, I would move the doors into capital improvements, and then whatever's left is what we should budget next year, because the
Yeah.
rest of this stuff is just normal.
Right,
Yeah.
and we had the cement lifted, that was an unusual thing.
So expense, we're gonna,
Is there anything else?
what are we in 265, Department 265?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Move the doors
move the doors into
to capital. And then we're to Dexter
Oh,
Painting
and
House.
here, we paid the $4,315 to Brentwood Electric to put the post, that light pole that got knocked over by WWRA there, but WRA has reimbursed us, so there's $4,315.
but that should go under
Going down.
capital also.
No, it shouldn't, I don't think so.
Oh, it's a repair.
No, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a repair, and we were
And it's-
reimbursed for it, so I
It's
don't.
right there. That
Oh, I
it's
see, it's right
come back.
below it.
So if we took out
okay,
those
so- oh, I see.
$8,000, then we're
We're
okay.
pretty much on budget.
Yeah, so we're good.
Okay.
So all we have to do is move the doors to capital, and we're good.
Yeah.
Good.
Here, let's celebrate.
Okay, pass those chocolates down, ladies.
And then with the Dexter Pinckney House, which is at the top of the next page, we know that we've spent money to fix it up, so we're not worried about it.
Right.
But then, we don't know why we have this fire substation $9,000
Okay.
credit.
Oh, where's that at? What are you looking at?
Where is that, Karen?
Oh, fire
That's just a little farther down the page, is Department 270. Next time I do
I can
questions
talk- I
like
can
this, I'll note the department number. I didn't think to do that, so.
And this is what, I think,
Drill down on that.
What's the question now? The fire?
Why do we have a $9,000 credit on the fire substation property?
oh, that's a credit.
Oh, where are you going with that? Oh,
Our loyal member of the public. What about
Yeah,
me?
really.
What about me?
yeah.
They were down by you for a long time, Karen. Did David get some?
David, you want one?
Okay.
They're really good.
Okay, so
Why do we
what,
have $9,000 credit? Is it 270?
from maintenance,
Overhead.
This was a really good idea.
it says reclass fire substation to 206. So here is an issue, and I didn't really understand it last year. So with the fire department, we have our millage that is identified to pay for fire service and what goes with that. Our fire substation, we own, we're technically landlords. The fire department pays us rent, not much, but we're responsible for the landscaping, for the snow removal, for the for certain things with the furnace, certain things with the, and anything with the structure. So that's why a couple of years ago, we got the roof fixed. Here we've got the overhead doors were fixed. And that has kind of got confused with Colleen, because Colleen said everything should come out of the millage. And after, a while, after she was gone, and then I got the lease, and I realized that I think they're really two separate. I think there's some general fund items that we're supposed to spend on maintenance for the building, and then the rest of it is, and then the millage is for paying the fire department for the service that they give.
So we actually need a number, we need a budget number. in
Yeah,
fire
so I would like,
station.
and the first year we had that, and I would like to go back to that, having a maintenance number for the fire department
We did
building.
right here, right?
No, we have zero.
We have
Well, and
zero.
if
Oh,
we're,
it's
if they're
okay.
paying us rent for it, then they are using the millage to pay us, and we are maintaining the property. You know what I'm saying?
Is this the $4,700?
Yeah. So the millage, it is in a way, that they're using the millage to pay their rent, and we're using the general fund to maintain our property.
Right.
So I think you're right, we need to use the general, in other words, I agree with you.
Yeah, so. And I can send out the lease, to everyone, which could be updated.
Put it in more simple
But-
terms.
This is a more simple
We're the
term.
landlord on that
Okay.
building, yeah. So
Are we
I
proposing 10 grand for next year to throw in that number?
No.
don't know, we'll have to
But we're
budget that.
93 in the hole.
No, this is a
we're
93,
We're looking at Department 270.
But didn't they
No,
put
this
new
is
doors?
this is a negative expense, it's a credit.
Why do we have that credit? Did that get moved out of village?
I don't know what that was my question, is what is this $9,300 credit?
There's
Oh,
why
it's
there's a
reclass the
credit.
fire substation expenditure to Fund 206. That's what it says.
Oh,
It looks like it was a correction, a reclass is a correction.
yeah, but I mean, and it,
That doesn't make
That
any
doesn't,
sense.
I don't understand what that means.
yeah, and it's not.
There's a whole lot of, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that those were like, to reclassify them into something, because they were entered in as one thing, and then they were reclassified as something else. So it looks like a
That's what I was
correction.
looking.
So,
All
so I
see
think
is
it's just,
9.
Heather did that,
We got it
so I
from
guess that's
206.
another question.
Do you know why she did that, Michelle?
Yeah, but why-
She wanted to
why-
make that account inactive.
We don't think we can do.
I don't see it.
well, I mean, this is just the activity for the month.
209, 250.
And then, and so it is zeroed out,
Would it be later? Or not?
so I don't really understand. how
Yeah, I
it's
don't
zeroed out.
understand this, how they did
I don't
it.
understand that line, but I think we should just move on. I don't think we're going to be able to figure out the answer.
But it's a
Yeah.
question
Oh, there it
that
is.
you can be put in the notes.
Yeah.
when we visit.
I'm just going to say, what is that
Whoever.
transaction, question mark? And then I think going above to the legal and professional, Michelle, I had a
Page
bunch of
7.
questions about why these are all cattywampus, kind of, you know? Because the attorney was budgeted at 20, we've spent 40, auditor 16, we've spent 0, contracted services, we don't know what that is. At 36, we spent 0, accounting and finance, you know,
So for
so,
the attorney, well, starting with your first question, we have not received our yearly
then
invoice from
270 is the
PSLZ.
substation.
It is coming this month.
from the auditor.
Correct.
I
Okay.
can't hear, okay? I can't hear Michelle.
So that will be,
What, could you say that again, Michelle?
The auditor expense is coming this month, she said.
Sorry, I would like to hear what you said.
PSLZ, her bill just came. So for Raina Emmons,
Oh,
our
right.
auditor.
Okay.
So you will see that she will be paid.
Okay.
But she just sent her invoice over just this week. And now, okay, so technically I should remove because, well, you let me know. I agree with you with this being possibly moving Beckett and Rader. We put that, we have that coded to exactly where you stated, how we're over in planning and zoning,
Which is what,
400 account, Department 400, for Beckett and Rader, our master plan.
Is that the 15,000?
so we've got the attorney line is still,
But we had
Oh,
contracted
yes, I
services
see.
for $36,000, so should we move all of the Beckett and Rader to that line?
yeah.
Okay. We just thought it made sense being.
Because the
planning-
3,000 is only just the routine expenses
Got it.
for planning. And so when you're assigning a general ledger code to something, it's good to look at the budget and try to assign it where I mean, your logic makes sense, but that's not how we authorized it. And so you have to think about where the expense was authorized through the budget. So that 17,000 should probably move to legal and
Absolutely.
professional. So we're going to move,
This is going to sound kind of funny, but is this $5,800? Is that Stan Tech? Oh, sorry, I'm on Department 400. Sorry. I got into
Yeah, we
planning
were
by
on
accident.
400.
Never mind.
so we're moving the planning consultant to
So we'll make the planning
Department
consultant
267
400
from Department 400. Okay, and then you were going to tell me about the engineering, the engineering expense, the 30,000 is the
Well,
next.
there's $5,800 paid out this month for,
Are you in 12 or?
Where are you?
for planning and consultant. Oh, no, that's attorney. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong line. Never mind, it's not there.
Would these questions have something?
So, yeah, I don't know why we have a 30,000 engineering expense budgeted. What were we going to do with that?
Engineering.
Do you remember, Dave?
20,000 of that was multi-lakes, probably. 20,000 of that was the engineering study for multi-lakes, because that's exactly what it was, an engineering study. Could be.
I don't recall $30,000 line for engineering, but
20,000, we did an engineering study, that's what we did at multi-lakes.
Right, so that's part of the
So you-
multi-lakes question.
You would like Stan Tech moved over to that line item?
Well, no, that's got to go, we decided we're going to use that 20,000 out of our ARPA funds.
Well, and anyway, Michelle, there's no expense there, so there's nothing for,
We just have to find it somewhere.
unless there's an expense someplace else that we want to move to that line, but you can't move the 30,000
Yeah.
budget line. That the board, only the board can change the budget.
I just didn't know if you wanted
Yeah, yeah.
the funds that were
I'd rather
spent
have it over in
back.
ARPA, so we account for our ARPA funds.
Okay, so we've got, oh, shoot, we went over. Should we shift? I feel like that
I
was the
think this
main.
is good. I mean, I'm happy to stay on this track. I just want to.
We're going
I
to
think
get
the
to the
only-
election
We're gonna
get-
anyway.
and it may be
I mean,
in
the
our
only,
next
the only,
meeting, so.
the couple questions, like bigger picture questions, one is Colleen wanted to get costs, and this is, again, this is legal and professional cost allocation. She wanted to capture from the fire and police fund the attorney's fees. So that's what that line is, that 13,600 negative expense is meant to be, we move expenses onto the police and fire for legal fees. The general fund shouldn't be paying the fire and police legal fees.
How does that make sense? I mean, I'm asking because we don't get billed for any of their legal fees.
I mean, this is, remember she talked, whatever, I mean, this is
Yeah.
just a legal and professional fees cost allocation, so anything
I do
that,
remember her talking.
so any kind of professional fees that the township incurs on behalf of police and fire, we track and we bill to police and fire. And it shows up here as a negative expense, so we're moving that expense from that line there over into police and fire. And if we're not keeping track of that, if we haven't asked our attorney to keep track of that, if we haven't asked our engineer or our planning consultant, then it's hard to do it. You could do it on an allocation basis, but you need somebody who knows what they're doing to do that. You need to have an accountant on staff. I don't think you guys would be able to do it. So,
I'm still confused about that one. Okay. But I can talk with you more.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
talk with me. It's just basically saying the general fund shouldn't subsidize police and fire.
Yeah, but I don't, yeah, okay. But I don't understand where we do. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we might not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a real world question, but I think Colleen was assuming. And, if you spend time on that, we probably are doing some subsidization of them with the general fund activities. If any of you spend time on it, and we're paying our salaries from the general
Yeah.
fund, yeah. So Diane and Karen to follow up on the cost allocation. And it may not be worth it, for $13,000. I mean, that was obviously Colleen's estimate of the value of that.
Right. That makes sense.
And maybe it's not worth $13,000 to us to try to figure that out. And there was one other, the drain commission, are there fees that we can collect from the drain commissioner to help us with the drain cost?
I thought that was just a.
Oh, and the Chelsea landfill too, why are we so far under?
The Chelsea landfill is billed biannual. And so the last invoice that we received was for May through December, so we should be receiving one anytime.
Wow. But it's only $3,000? So are we over budgeted? So you think we should reduce the budget?
What do we pay for the landfill? Is that our own trash service? What we pay for the landfill?
I would assume it's for the transfer station.
Is
We
it
don't
a-
have a landfill,
Yeah,
but
is
for
it
them
a
to
tax
transfer
for
it
the
maybe.
township? Do we pay, I mean, where'd that, I guess I don't even understand what the landfill line item is. Like, what are we paying for?
Didn't we call last year about this?
Well, don't we-
It's,
Don't we have trash for the township?
It's never that much. Trash for the little township, for our one little can out there, probably be $500 a year.
So we should find
We
out,
need to know what this is. Like, I just don't even I don't understand what it is.
Well, we attempted to give them a call today.
Okay.
We left a message.
Okay.
I have the invoice sitting right on top of
So
my
on the
desk. If
action
you'd like me to
list,
receive,
what the heck
retrieve
What
it.
is it,
Yeah.
what
What
does
is the
it
invoice
say on the
for?
invoice?
It's
What does
the
it
City
say?
of Chelsea landfill services.
I think it's a.
But does it
yeah.
say anything?
It's gotta
I
be
think
a-
we called
It's
last year, and
invoice.
it's a contract that was entered into a long time ago, and the amount
But what
varies
service?
over
It's not
time.
recycling, is it? Is it?
No,
We used
like
to.
the infrastructure of the.
We used to have a landfill, but we don't any longer. Now we're a transfer station.
David, do you have any idea, like, what services we're getting from this?
For the Chelsea land.
Yeah.
I think we should find that out and
Yeah, we should-
and
we should
stop
add
paying
Put
for
that on
it.
your list.
Well, have we paid?
I think
so-
we're under
so we have
contract on
paid
that
three-
one.
Add it to
Well,
the
we paid
two.
3,000
Yeah.
for something.
All right.
Look, I can read, I know that.
Some remarks are coming into my mind that I'm not going to say.
Turn off your mic.
Okay, guys, we have 15 more minutes, so this is going good. I think
Okay,
we're
so
all learning a
I
lot
think we
today.
should turn our attention to the election
Yeah.
stuff, which is pretty complicated.
Well, we
Page
didn't
2 of
finish your
12.
questions, so, or do you feel like?
Did I
you're-
not finish my questions? I
No,
thought
you
I
haven't.
did.
So, talked about
Auditor,
the substation, we're at the MTA, that was paid.
Well, we talked about the drain.
the legal cost allocation, the drains, I just wanted to find out if we can capture some money from the drain commissioner.
I think the next question is election expenses
Yeah.
I really think it is too.
in your list.
Yeah.
Number 10.
So I'm just going to add to the list, find out if any revenue is available from the drain commissioner.
After speaking with Mallory today, she stated we can't recapture any of the costs because they are our responsibility for public safety.
The drains? Oh, okay, then I can cross that off the list.
There are just some things you have to pay.
How do we anticipate our drain costs to know what to put in there?
Well, that's the exciting part is you cannot, and if there's an emergency and they have to come out in the wintertime or there's flooding over the road, it could get quite costly.
Yeah, like on North
That's
Key.
why we have.
Yeah, it might be getting like
At
costly
North Key,
right
next to
in,
town hall.
it might be getting costly right in
Put
front
some
of my
money in there
house.
for that darn drain.
All right, so I'm handing it over now to whoever, somebody else can ask, or
Well,
Michelle or
Donna, you're
whatever.
on your number 10 now.
I haven't paid much attention to the election stuff, so.
Okay, we have 15 minutes, so, so Michelle's to answer the questions in the new report. Does,
I apologize, I had this information ready to go, and we had a meeting, and I did not have all of my information, so I did only supply you with the first page, the primary and general election, so the two first pages, as well as the cost. You guys just throw me for a loop, I keep hearing phones. Anyways, the second two pages that I do have with the election does give a more detailed informational about how many election workers there were, how many hours that they did work, what their cost was. I did include paychecks as well, and I highlighted it in yellow, just to show what was paid for all of the election workers' paychecks. And I did that for the primary and the general does have more election workers, as well as the consultant from Washtenaw County, Karen Rowe.
Hey, Michelle, are these the same that went into our board packet?
Except for the
Because you had put these, I've seen these before.
Yeah, these are very different from what was handed out last month.
yeah.
Okay.
The ones that, the general and the primary that the clerk gave us now are very different than what was in our January packet.
Oh, okay.
They're very different.
Wait a minute.
I went line by line by line and opened up everything and pulled all receipts.
Okay, so wait a minute. So
January, the ones that we had in our packet in January are different than these now.
Yes,
We just got today.
yes.
And then I also had,
Yes.
for instance, the equipment, because I thought with the computers that we actually had budgeted for the year before, I had those on the primary. So many things are different, and I added everything that from the start of the new year, beginning in April, which there was, I don't believe there were any costs for elections in April, but come May, they started to come through. And they can all be popped up, too.
Yeah,
and we
can I
go
just
through.
ask you an Excel spreadsheet question, how you function with Excel spreadsheets? When you're doing, like your spreadsheets here, do you use formulas to populate your numbers, or do you manually type in your numbers? Do you, like if this number, you want this number to show over here, do you tell it to tell that cell? You hand type it. That's one of the problems.
And,
Because it's creating errors in all your reports, because you have little typos, but if you would use a formula, it would automatically populate that thing.
I thought you
wouldn't be
had to
doing
use a
that.
formula in Excel, don't you?
Huh?
Do you have to use, you don't?
No, you can
No, you
type
can
in
just-
a
you
number.
can just
Oh my
use it
God,
like-
why would you do that?
Because
Well,
you
that's what
didn't
I'm
know.
looking at, these reports, they don't make sense to me, and I think it's because you're free typing.
And the election expense looks like it's $53,000 year-to-date, but this is $23,000.
It's 30,
There's two, there's a general and a primary.
Yeah, if you add them,
They were
if you
both
add the
paper
grand
clips.
totals together,
It might
it
be on the
does,
very bottom
Yeah,
of
it-
the
comes out to this.
my issue with it, when you add your two big totals together, it does come to the 53, but things inside the spreadsheet don't match the categories.
Right.
Like if you're looking at election worker wages, if you add the election worker wages, it's not 14.9. And if you add the election management wages, it's not 12.9.
Right,
So
exactly.
these reports aren't jiving to
The general.
your general ledger, but your master total is. Something, and I think it's probably how you're doing stuff or how you're categorizing, but they're very different. They're very different.
I'm
Yes,
adding
they are
them.
different. That was my,
Where
these
are
do
we
not
looking?
match up
Where
with the
on
general
this are we
ledger.
looking? What page?
On your budget, it's on page 2 of 12.
Okay.
2 of 12, it's Department 216.
yeah, okay, I'm going to show Michelle. So
Also two of
on
nine.
so just one example, for general election and the primary election, this is what you charge $6,000, on your report, it's $6,355.35 for election management, and for the general election, it was $8,721. So that adds up to $1,576, and then on the general ledger,
It says 12.9.
it says 12.9.
And I thought
Right.
maybe you had pulled.
12,956.
Yeah, I thought maybe you had pulled Karen Rowe out because she was an election manager, but she was also a consultant that the county had you hire. So, but I tried to pull out that $2,000, whatever it was for her, and it still doesn't jive.
No, and she's listed in this
Yeah.
amount, so, yeah. So that's what, and there are lots of things like that where this doesn't add up to that.
Right.
Now, your total does, especially before I got
Which
the
blows
new
my,
one.
but it might be a it might be a free type total. Like I did not run every
right,
line.
I didn't
You know
run
what I
every
mean? I
line
didn't do
either.
that. But if you free typed rather than using formulas, that's how you would show a balance number, but these reports do not balance to the GNL.
Right. Does that make sense? Are you understanding what?
So
The difference.
what I did was I just opened up every line item, so every month, I went month by month and just opened up the expenditure. And every month I wrote out on this tally, and I did, just a calculator and freehand, and wrote them all out. So I don't understand why they wouldn't be
Well, there's
what I
something-
did.
Yeah.
So see, and I'm not in so you're saying that the line items in the general ledger, election worker wages, election management, FICA, supplies, postage, don't correspond to the line items in the backup documentation. So the
They
total,
don't match these. We've got one for primary, one for general.
so the
The
total,
totals don't match the general.
so the total is correct, but the
But the total might
backup,
be free typed.
but the backup documentation
Right.
doesn't correspond to the line items in the general ledger.
Right, but the totals on these sheets might be free typed in Excel, which would make it balance. But if you did it by a formula, I don't think it would balance. If that makes sense.
I don't get it, but.
I was going to, if you know, if you would send me these files, if you have these Excel files, if you send them to me, I'll populate and see how they actually match to this. Do you know what I mean? But I couldn't take the file that was sent to me and enable it to edit it to create formulas in the Excel spreadsheets.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Are you offering to do that, Karen? And share that with Michelle?
Yeah, I guess.
721.
Is
Well,
that,
absolutely, I would like to,
or maybe
like
you
it to
could
be clean.
do it
and
together, or?
I have.
So the
Okay.
to-do item is Karen and Michelle.
Michelle, are you okay there? Or are you going to kill me? No.
No, because I want people to see the expenditures. I mean, I went line by line, I have all of the receipts, I've been very honest.
I don't think
I'm very
anybody's
honest with
questioning.
We're not questioning that.
And there was a
how
lot that
you
was spent,
Not
and
questioning
I'm,
that. The question, well, I do have questions on the expenditures, but that's not what I'm questioning now. What I'm questioning now is how you arrive to these numbers and why, because Excel is usually 100% accurate. So that's how I knew you were free typing, because things that just aren't jiving. And I really found it from this report, because you have, which one is it? Oh, here, you have $2,100 for Karen Rowe, and then you give a total of 62. But if you really added all these up, it comes up to the 8366. Like there's errors, so I just know they're not formulas that are crossing over.
So I think we can't resolve anything. So the to-do item from that is Karen and Michelle to work together to make the line items stick and tie to the general, in the elections detail report.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, at what point do we want to, and I don't even know if it's worth doing now, I mean, I know we're way over budget on the elections, I would say, but
I can tell you going forward, being a new clerk, of course, I did expenditures that I will not be doing come the presidential. There was no need to hire an election manager, although Janice was fantastic.
well, the election manager
All
and
three of
your
us learned
management-
together.
Yeah, but it was more cost-effective to hire Karen Rowe.
Karen Rowe was absolutely
It
fantastic.
was cost-effective to us, we paid $8,700 in the primary, when in the general, we paid $6,300.
And that's another
So we
reason-
saved $2,000 using the consultant.
And I had a big conversation
If that makes
with
sense.
Washtenaw County, with new clerks. Now they're looking into, with a new clerk, bringing in a consultant to come
Every time.
and, absolutely, because we
With
don't know what we're
everyone.
doing. I mean, this is all brand new, and even though Janice was fantastic, all three of us, myself, my deputy, and my manager, we all were paid to learn, and that, I mean, was it good that she learned? Sure, but the point was to keep the costs down.
Yeah, yeah. So should I read back our to-do list, or should I just type
I
it up
think-
and send it out?
Well, we have 5 minutes, so I would suggest that you type it up and send it out for edits. If you could send it to everyone, that would be great.
And everyone can add to it what I left out, if I left something out?
I doubt anything got left out.
Well, I kind of slacked off on taking notes at the end.
I did pretty good at the
I
end,
had a
so.
pretty long
I
day.
have a good ending, so I think I
I'll
was,
send it to you first, and you
Okay,
add to it.
I'll
and
add to
then-
it,
And then,
okay.
and then you send it out to everybody.
all right. So we're going to end the discussion.
Well, can I end the discussion by thanking both of you for the time that you put into the time and the research you put into answering these questions. And I'm pleased with how it worked to have the questions in advance and then,
No, thank you for
yeah.
the questions in advance.
Really
It was
good
helpful.
meeting.
Exactly.
I feel like I learned a lot.
What
I appreciate
questions
it
do we
because
need
I never
for?
looked at the revenue ever, and now I've made it a
One person
point
at a
to
time.
look in areas where I usually wouldn't look, so.
And now we have a meeting on 131.
To continue on with
What's our
it.
task on that?
Continue on with the general
Yeah, because we have to
ledger.
make sure that whatever we're publicizing that is going to be on our
So is our-
agenda.
It's already
It's already
publicized, we're just
publicized.
to
Oh, it
be
is?
working on the 23, 24
When is that?
general ledger,
31st.
the 31st.
So,
Next week.
trustee Nolte, is this something that we could actually work on this coming week?
My phone.
To be
wouldn't open it.
prepared.
I would answer that. I can't answer that until I turn my phone off and turn it back on.
So you guys plan a time. I don't think it's urgent for it to be done by
Well, it would be
Monday.
nice to have some of it
Yeah, it
done
would be
by
really nice.
131, so then we can rerun a report and see our corrections.
That would be
Yeah.
great.
It'd
That
be
would be
nice
great.
if we could jump in and get some of the easy things done by 131.
We will do our best. Okay,
I don't know the software at all.
So-
All I know is Excel.
we will have our meeting on the 31st for the discussion of the, continued discussion of the 23, 24 budget. And any other calls for public comment? Would you like to go home?
Yeah, but I would say it was really nice. A lot of things I didn't understand.
Uh-huh.
And I don't believe everything I read on Facebook.
Oh, thank you.
That's nice.
Neither do I.
Thank you.
That's Tuesday.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Any other issues, comments, or concerns of board members or staff?
yes.
Karen?
I loved having a goal of ending in 2 hours, and I would love if we could manage our time in our regular meetings, to be thinking about, I mean, I know we can't have a time agenda in a public meeting, but if we could be thinking in this way and setting a goal of ending in 2 hours, I think it would be a lot less grueling for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any way?
Karen?
Oh, sorry.
What, can I go down the line, or are you?
Oh, sure.
Can I go down? Laura, do you have anything you'd like to end with?
No, this is really helpful to me. I'm glad that we did this.
Good.
Yeah, feels good.
Good. Michelle?
Yeah, it's been very informative, and I appreciate everyone taking the time to have this meeting.
Karen?
Is it possible to add like time guidelines onto our agenda? Like we do, like I do that in other meetings, like, 6:05, 6:15, just to try to keep us on time?
Do you mean at our major board meeting?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And David, were we live streaming tonight? Are we functional?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should be right now.
Okay. I was just wondering if we were functional. I know we've been having problems.
I think everything's fixed now. Yeah,
After
everything's.
the $6,000 we spent on it.
Yes, talked about it.
Lonnie?
Moving into the
Okay,
capital
Lonnie,
line.
Lonnie.
I just echo the thanks for the work put into this. It's very helpful, I think, and I don't know if you all have ever done these before, but it seems like this is really going to set the stage for a much better budget for this cycle.
Thank you. Maris?
I just want to thank everybody that's been putting time in. Karen, I know you do. Karen, you do as well, to do In the Loop. The In the Loop has been awesome to keep the community and, a reminder to us of what we're accomplishing. So thank you for that. Thank you for all of these questions and organizing this with everybody. Like I said, I learned a lot by being able to kind of dissect some different things that I normally don't in my day-to-day. So it's actually helped me to learn the bigger picture. And I'm actually really excited this year being able to be a part of a real part of the budget, and really have a better understanding. It's great. So, thanks. And because it's like really your leadership and experience, from your past experiences have brought to the table to help us. So, thanks.
David?
Just one more question.
I was going to let David a chance, see if he wants to weigh in here.
David?
Okay.
Very, very good.
Have we come to a consensus if we're moving forward with Heather, or if we're going with
No,
Kim?
we're deciding that at the next, that's on the to-do list.
Yeah.
Oh, that's on the to-do
It's
list?
on the to-do
We
list.
can't make any decisions tonight.
Yeah. I also want to thank everybody for their hard work and their cooperation with one another tonight. It was really solution-oriented, and I appreciate everyone's cooperation and hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
So would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn. I will second. Oh, and I want to thank Laura for the chocolate.
The chocolate, yay!
That was amazing.
Is that what kept us calm tonight?
Maybe.
If that's all it takes, I'm going to be going.
I know it keeps me calm.
I stopped at Saunders.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hey, we did it! Woo! Oh, it's 8:02.
We didn't start until 6:06.